This is Socially Triggered, and this video is going to be on whether or not price controls are necessary. Um, with the whole coronavirus thing, people have been sort of hoarding. They've been really panicking and hoarding various things, especially toilet paper. Of all the things to hoard, why toilet paper? But that's what they're hoarding, and as a result of the hoarding, the prices have gone up. And I remember going into Walmart, and it was the funniest thing. It was so crazy. They had three people guarding like this stack of toilet paper, and they were like issuing out the toilet paper, one package per family. And I just thought it was the funniest thing. And it was like as if they were guarding gold or something like that. And when they gave the toilet paper, I was like, okay, wow, it's such a privilege to get this toilet paper. Um, they, when I cashed out, they actually warned me. They said, well, don't expect it to be the normal price. And I was like, okay, normally it's like $9. How bad could it be really? And it was $27 for the toilet paper, so three times normal price. Now I paid it because I needed toilet paper, but it was kind of painful to pay that much. So if you think about it, you'd say, well, gee, I wish we had price controls because then I wouldn't have to pay $27 for the toilet paper. I would pay $9 for the toilet paper. And you would think that that's how it would work, right? You'd think, oh, if we put a price control there we can control that price. However, the funny thing is what happens is something very different. If you put a price control, what ends up happening is the companies that make that toilet paper, well, when it's $27 instead of $9, they have a huge incentive to make more toilet paper because they make so much more profit off of making toilet paper. So, and other companies will say, hey, we can make some money on this too, and they'll get into the market as well. So what you'll have is a whole bunch of companies all competing to jump in on that high price. And what ends up happening is you get lots of toilet paper and the price goes down. Now, if you did the opposite with a price control, what ends up happening is the companies are like, well, it's a bit of a crisis right now. We can make money on other things. We will sort of cut back on the toilet paper because there's no margin there. There's not as, it's not as profitable as normal because it is a crisis and it's a little more expensive to produce that toilet paper. So they'll end up cutting back. And other companies won't even bother entering the market because there's just no profit to be made there. So what ends up happening is price fixing or controlling of the price by the government ends up having the opposite effect than the intended effect, which is to increase the supply of toilet paper or any other product. So what ends up happening with price fixing and controlled markets by the government is they actually get the opposite effect of what they are looking for. So what ends up happening is there's a real problem with finding the product that you're looking for. And so what ends up happening is there's black markets that form because all of a sudden, that product is scarce and people will hoard it. So then there's even less supply that goes around to everybody. And the people that hoard it know that they can put it on the black market for 10 times the price or 100 times the price because they know that people will pay that because there's such a demand and very little supply. So price fixing, instead of having the effect of either increasing the supply or increasing the availability, I guess, or even controlling the price, which is the most fundamental thing it should be doing, it fails on all of those. And what ends up happening is you get this really high price on a very scarce item. So people have less of it. The funniest example I heard of this was actually one guy had sold wet naps, like, the hand sanitizer. Usually it's a bottle is like $9, but he sold it for $1,000 just because of this whole panic crisis kind of thing. And like whenever I went to the stores, I could never find hand sanitizer lately because it's just been hoarded by so many people. And this is the problem with price fixing. The governments still haven't learned the lesson that if you do this kind of thing where you try to control the price, you end up only making the problem worse. So sometimes it's painful at first because, there's a few people that have to pay those high prices. But after a while, what ends up happening is companies realize that there's a profit to be made and they move in and fix the problem. So price fixing is a very bad thing. Uh, and government control over pricing is extremely bad. So try to think about these things when you buy that expensive toilet paper. That yes, it's painful, but in the long run, you're actually benefiting from creating a new demand or new supply, I should say, for that product. And yeah, that's hopefully a reasonable explanation of how government control over pricing can have a very negative effect. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, and please check out my other videos. I'm trying to avoid actually making more Corona videos because it's just sort of like something that's been talked about too much. If there's a topic that you want me to talk about, please comment below and I will try to address it. It can be kind of COVID-19 related, but try to make it something interesting. And also, I'm thinking of doing a live stream. So if you're interested in a live stream, please comment below and maybe I'll make it happen. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos and subscribe. Bye.